Hey there, Dr. Steve here. Before we begin, I want to invite you to a very special gathering of patriots all across the country. It's our first ever rhino hunting boot camp. It'll be on Saturday, March 5th, and it's a virtual event so you can attend from the comfort of your very own home. What we're going to do is we're going to come together and learn everything you need to know about getting rid of Republicans in name only, getting them out of office and putting real patriots in. So click on the link below or go to rhinohuntingbootcamp.com. Spots are limited to the first 1,000 who register, so they're going fast. Make sure to click on that link below right now, and I'll see you on Saturday, March 5th for an absolutely amazing day. God bless. Is this the tyrant Trudeau's Ceausescu moment? In this video, we're going to look at a growing consensus that the Trudeau regime is actually crumbling. We're going to see how Trudeau is but the tip of the iceberg of the whole globalist world order. And stick with me to the very end of this video when I'll reveal why we can be absolutely certain that the patriot uprisings that are flourishing all around the world are just getting started. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you. As always, I'm your daily fake news antidote, your patriot professor, helping to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and insane and turbulent and tyrannical times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We're just going to dive right in here. You know, I'm sure you all know by now of the shocking level of dictatorial powers that Canada's leadership has resorted to in order to stop what is without question the single most humiliating moment in soy boy Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's pathetic political career. And that, of course, is the Freedom Convoy uprising that's effectively shut down the capital city of Ottawa for the past 3 weeks. You may have heard that the conservative Christian crowdfunding website Give, Send, Go, which was used by the Freedom Convoy after the ultra-left surrogates over at GoFundMe cowardly coddled to the wishes of the Trudeau regime, Give, Send, Go was hacked last Sunday night with the names of tens of thousands of donors to the Freedom Convoy published openly. And then, as if it were actually coordinated, the repulsively ultra-left Washington Post actually doxed donors who sent money to the Freedom Convoy. So-called reporters, who of course are just Marxist activists, actually contacted the names of people who had donated to the Freedom Convoy and let them know that their personal information was now in the hands of the Washington Post to do with it whatever these left-wing activists disguised as journalists saw fit. And then, as if they were trying to outdo each other in tyrannical tactics, watch Trudeau's justice minister explicitly and overtly threaten to freeze the bank accounts of Trump supporters who may have donated to freedom protesters. Check it out.
Look, you've just compared people who may have donated to this to the same people who are funding maybe a terrorist. I just want to be clear here, sir. This is really important. A lot of folks says, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried that the bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to that?
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
I mean, it doesn't get more brazen than that. That's gotta be the most unabashed, shameless statement of raw dictatorial power I've ever heard uttered by a Western leader. Make no mistake, what that clown just said was that you and I, as far as the Trudeau regime is concerned, you and I no longer have the right to donate to groups that we support. I mean, just think about that. That man is the very definition of an authoritarian thug. And by the way, this is why we've got t-shirts like this one, like Truck Trudeau, right, in our merch store. We have got the most patriotic merch that's out there. You're going to love it. We get regular feedback on how much people love these shirts when you wear them in public. It is a great way to stand up with the truckers, spread patriot hope, and support this channel at the same time. So make sure to click on the link below or go to store.turleytalks.com. That's store.turleytalks.com. So what are we supposed to make of all of this? Well, if the woke left thought that they were winning anyone over with these tyrannical antics, they're finding out with each passing day that they could not possibly have been more wrong. I kid you not. Even the likes of Ilhan Omar one of the most far-left politicians in Congress. Even Ilhan Omar thought that what the Washington Post did was beyond the pale. She tweeted out, "I fail to see why any journalist felt the need to report on a shop owner making such an insignificant donation rather than to get them harassed. It's unconscionable and journalists need to do better." That was the real Ilhan Omar. Even she's speaking out against these obviously despotic tactics. So what's really going on here? Matt Taibbi has a great piece out on Substack that I think nails what's really happening. The piece is entitled Trudeau's Ceausescu Moment. Ceausescu, of course, being Romania's Nicolae Ceausescu, one of Eastern Europe's most vicious communist dictators, who interestingly was the only Eastern European leader to be executed by firing squad when the Berlin Wall fell. The byline of the piece reads, quote, "Denouncing truckers for, quote, unacceptable views, Canada's Prime Minister skipped town rather than face evidence of his own unpopularity. Is neoliberalism finally cracking?" So obviously Taibbi here is tracking with the same post-globalist trends that we track with on a daily basis here on this channel. And he begins his article by recalling the final hours of Ceausescu's reign when he appeared on the balcony of his opulent palace that he had built as a narcissistic memorial to himself in the shadow, of all the rest of the communist regimes across Eastern Europe crumbling, which he was clueless about. And from that balcony, he just tried to speak to the people as if nothing was wrong, nothing to see here, everything is normal, and the people wouldn't listen to him. He couldn't hear himself above their shouts, their taunts. And what Taibbi says here is that Ceausescu's balcony moment will forever be a symbol of elite cluelessness. Quote, "Even in the face of the gravest danger, a certain kind of ruler will never be able to see the last salvo coming, if doing so requires any self-examination. The neoliberal political establishment in most of the Western world, the subject of repeat populist revolts of rising intensity in recent years, seems to suffer from the same disability." So Taibbi goes on to note that despite the massive populist uprisings that are going all over the world, by the way, they keep getting bigger and bigger every time they surface. Have you noticed that? From Brexit to Trump, from the Yellow Vest uprising in France to now the descent of Patriot truckers on Ottawa. Despite all of that, our globalist elite, comprising the permanent political class, continue to live in a clueless bubble that consistently clouds their ability to see precisely what's happening all around them. And it's in that sense that their willful cluelessness recalls that infamous scene from Bucharest decades ago. And no one on the world stage exemplifies that elitist cluelessness more than Justin Trudeau.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
Next question.
Now, what's most hilarious in that kabuki theater there is that same Justin Trudeau who claimed they were a small fringe minority, that guy, he ended up fleeing the city like a coward. He removed his family to what aides called, quote, a secret location for, quote, security reasons. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It was so embarrassing. It was so humiliating that even members of his own Liberal Party began openly chastising Trudeau for his incompetent handling of this whole situation. Then again, as if to pile on to the absurdity, you had the CBC, the ultra-left Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. They actually made the claim that perhaps Russia was behind all of this. I kid you not. This is not a Saturday Night Live spoof. This is real life, or better, it's the pseudo-reality that Canada's permanent political class lives in. Again, what's so blatantly obvious here, and Taibbi points this out in the article, what's so obvious is that in the midst of all of the insults of trying to steal their donations, to fleeing the scene, to all the accusations of sedition and insurrection, to now blatant threats of basically destroying their lives, not once has the Canadian government offered to meet with the protesters head on and negotiate with them in realistic terms. Not once has the Trudeau regime offered to treat these truckers with a comparable dignity and empathy and, frankly, pandering that he gave to radical BLM Marxists who burned and looted our cities. Tybee writes, quote, "The incredible thing about politicians like Trudeau is that they genuinely seem sure their opposition is limited to small extremist pockets. They simply don't believe how many people hate them and are continually flabbergasted to discover that insults and authoritarian tactics don't improve their situations." Noting that a comparable trucker convoy is brewing here in the United States, Tybee finishes his piece with this, quote, "They're coming. But it seems like the only thing our thinking classes can think to do in response is mass-produce news stories denouncing everyone involved as neo-Nazi QAnon loons, basically a repeat of Trudeau's fringe approach. These stories may be comforting to the Georgetown set, but it's not going to help when 70 miles of trucks show up at the edge of the D.C. Capitol. By the time these people realize that what they're dealing with is far bigger than a caricature, it'll be too late. Just ask Nikolai Ceausescu." Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on woke women getting called out in public. If you want a hilarious laugh today, you're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.